G'day everybody, Chris Fawcett from the Headache and Pain Management Centre here, and it's day 5 of National Headache and Migraine Week, and once again I'm at lunch for the conference that I'm currently at. Just my collar's a little bit funny there, but that's okay. And today we're talking about hormonal headache, and it's a really big topic for ladies that suffer with this condition. They're spending 2 or 3 days a month not actually being able to work because of it. They're getting really, really sick just for the abject punishment of being female, which is really, really unfair. And a lot of the time what happens is that the hormones actually get the brunt of the blame for it. And it's really reasonable to actually think that, because the headaches actually happen around that time of the month. They happen either sort of 2 days before, 3 days after, can last for a day or two, can last 5 days sometimes. And then sometimes we have patients that actually have hormonal headaches at the end of the month, but also mid-cycle as well. So we're thinking, well, what's going on? What's actually the story here, and why are these headaches still happening? Now, there was a question that was asked earlier this week about hormonal headaches in the comments of one of my other videos, and I was talking about headaches and migraines that are able to swap sides. Hello there, it's good to see you. Type underneath and say hello, and let us know that you're there. Where basically the question about the hormonal headaches is, how do we know it's the hormones, or how do we know it's something else like the neck? Now, it sort of stands to reason that if something was a hormonal or systemic issue, g'day Amber, good to see you there. If it was a systemic issue, what would happen is that it would be like high blood pressure or hormones or something like that. It would actually cause a headache which is explosive on both sides at the same time. However, what we see with some people with hormonal headaches is that the headache is either one-sided, or it's one-sided and can swap around. Now, if you're thinking logically about it, what happens is that if you've got a headache that's the hormones, logically you'd think that it would affect both sides of your head equally, given that the hormones are going through the blood vessels on both sides of your head, yeah? Okay, so clearly if there's something going on with the blood, with your pain that's only going on one side rather than on both sides at the same time, something else needs to be causing this to happen. And the culprit that seems to be the case when you've got a headache that's swapping around is actually the neck, which sounds surprising. So let me just explain to you why that could be the case. So the reason why headaches and migraines happen in the first place is this sensitization that happens at the bottom of your brain, top of your spinal cord, that actually sends a message to your brain to say, hey look, we need a headache, or maybe we don't. Now that part of the brain actually becomes sensitized by all sorts of different things, right? So it can be sensitized by stress levels, can be sensitized by your neck, and all these other sorts of things. Now if it's sensitized in your neck, in this brainstem, when it's sensitized, what actually happens is that normal input that comes through your brain, okay, so I would suggest that having hormonal changes around that time of the month is a completely normal thing to happen, and it is normal because all the research says that it is. And what it also says in the research is that people with hormonal headaches versus people who don't have hormonal headaches have exactly the same hormones, so that's actually got nothing to do with it. But what happens is when you've got a sensitization at the bottom of your brain, top of your spinal cord, in that area that causes headache, what happens is that normal input, like the hormonal changes that happen at a time of month, or the change of blood pressure that happens, is now actually received by your brain as being abnormal. Okay, so normal input is being perceived as abnormal. So what happens when you've got this sensitized brainstem is that when the hormones change at that time of month, which is really normal, every woman happens, it happens all the time, okay, is that normal input passing through that sensitized brainstem is being perceived by your brain as dangerous or a threat. Okay, so you've got this normal input coming in, sensitized brainstem, causing this pain to happen. Okay, your brain's being fooled into thinking that there's something wrong. Okay, so if we're looking at this and we're treating just the hormones, then basically what happens if you treat the hormones is that nothing changes. You've still got this sensitized brainstem that happens, right? But it doesn't change your headache. So people that have, often they're on the pill and it changes things, but if there's something else that's causing the headaches to happen, as soon as they go off the pill, it's bad again. So what I recommend for people that have hormonal headaches, the ones that have, particularly those people that have hormonal headaches on one side that swap around, or even those that actually do have two-sided headache, because quite often it is actually something else causing it, is to find out what's sensitizing that brainstem in the first place. And at times, a lot of the time in fact, it's actually the top of the neck that's causing the issue. So if you are getting hormonal headaches, where it's that time of the month where it's actually timed around your period, even though it's kind of obvious to say that it's the hormones that's actually causing the issue. Actually, what can happen is that the neck can actually trick the brain into thinking there's a problem with the hormones when it's actually not the hormones at all, okay? It's actually the neck that's there. Type underneath if this is actually relevant to you, if you've actually got hormonal headaches that move around in your head, because if it's something like that, then it's actually something to do with your neck, possibly, that's causing it. Really, when it causes this sensitization process, you're finding out what the number one thing that's sensitizing that brainstem is, not the thing that actually tips the glass over the edge. So if your glass is like, if you say that the threshold's met when it's 100% full, okay? If your neck is causing 80% of that and the hormones are causing 20% of that, then it's much better to actually take the 80% out of the cause of it rather than 20%, because then you'll get more long-term relief. So you need to have a look at what's causing this sensitization to happen and then treat that as the cause. And look, sometimes I will say that it is actually the hormones causing that 80%, but it's actually quite rare. There's actually other factors like stress, like your top of the neck stiffness, that's causing this to actually tip over the edge and cause the hormonal headaches to happen. So, hey, look, that was the last video for National Headache and Migraine Week. I hope you've enjoyed my 5 videos for this week. Stay tuned from next week onwards. There'll be 2 videos a week from next week on all matter of different things. So headaches, back pain, shoulder pain, chronic pain, these sorts of things. If there's anything that's been interesting for you this week, or even just about hormonal headaches, type in a question below and I'm more than happy to answer the questions either publicly on the wall or actually message you privately, given that it's Headache and Migraine Awareness Week. Wanting to get as much information out there as possible about headache and migraine to get the best benefit for as many people as we can to get headaches and migraines to be a thing of the past, actually get back to work again and living your life without the burden of headache and migraine. I've been Chris. It's Friday. It's a lovely day outside. I'm still here on the Gold Coast at my conference. There it is outside. And g'day Melissa, good to see you there. And I will be back in the clinic on Monday to answer your emails, to answer your inquiries, and actually get back to work in treating headache and migraine patients. It's been good talking to you, and I'll see you again next week. Take care. Bye bye.